It was at the Godswill Pabio Stadium in Nigeria, where Zambia had a debt with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. It was a massive three-pointer for both teams. Going into this game, Nigeria had set the pace with 10 points going into that game. And for Zambia, that picked up back-to-back wins against Algeria, picked up a point against Cameroon. That's translated into 7 points, meaning winning that game in Uyo was going to mean 10 points apiece for both countries who are former African champions. Of course, Zambia was champion in 2012, Nigeria in 2013. Let's just have a look at the two selections that Renaud Rogue and Wedson Nyirenda chose for this game. So both went for an identical 4-2-3-1 formation. From the Nigerian perspective, in red we had Simon Moses and Victor Moses operating as the wing forwards, while Odion Igalo, the former Watford striker, was actually leading the line. The schema role was played by John Obi Mikel, wearing jersey number 10, and the two central defensive midfield combination was Wilfred Ndindi and Onegi Onazi. Of course, the back four, that's all Ederson Echijile, William Ekong, and Balogun actually playing there, and Shehu as well playing there as the right back. From a Zambian perspective, captained by Kennedy Mwene in between the sticks and the central defensive configuration, and basically the back four remained the same. Wedson Nyirenda returned faith in them, but after scoring on his Polo Polo proper debut, Enoch Mwepu was trusted to be the second man in central midfield as Sambalungu was deployed in a schema role. Augustine Lenga, who had a bereavement, strong lad, we must say, and condolences to him. He turned out for the Polo Polo and I think gave a very good account of himself. So it was Augustine Lenga and Fashion Sakala in the wide area, as well as leading the line was Alex Bazongonka for that one. Were you a little bit surprised with any of the selections by both coaches, Dennis?
Like for Zambia, I will speak on the Zambian side. I think I wasn't so surprised because obviously in the absence of Brian Mwila, obviously we needed someone who could harass those guys, the two central defenders. And the only one that we had, the one who could do the job was Alex. I wasn't surprised when I heard that Alex was going to start, because I know no Brian Mwila, who else could start, obviously. Felix.
Apparently, Alex is not many people's favorite, Vespa. And I'm just thinking, going into this game, you needed a workhorse, and Alex will give you that. In the past, we've had players like James Chamanga. They'll put in a shift for you. They'll run the opposition defense ragged.
Yes, Zita, of course, we needed someone who could at least maybe keep the ball there, hold on to the ball, to allow his midfielders at least to join him. Even you could see the wingers, by the time they try to join him, he loses the ball. So we needed someone who could hold on to the ball, allow his midfielders, even his wingers to join him. At least it will have more power for him to reach on the goal.
Okay, so those were the two selections made by the two coaches. Let's just begin to study the game, shall we? So we start with Nigeria's attack in this game, the home side, and well, the favorites to actually win this game from a neutral's perspective. But here is how Nigeria were constructing the attack. So first things first, you have the shirt number 12, Shehu, who would actually attack forward on the bottom left of your screen. You had Victor Moses, who was actually attacking inside. Then you had Odion Igalo, who would usually pull to the right-hand side and try to create a tactical overload against Faxon Kapumba, and probably make Zio Tembo move into that space and probably leave space for John Obi Mikel, the schemer, to actually find some space to actually operate there. Then Wilfred Ndindi as well would be the substantive player that will move from the double anchorman, joining the attack and trying to, of course, orchestrate things and provide support as Nigeria go forward. Then Onazi was the man who was deployed to be the substantive number 6 who would protect the central defense of Ekong and Balogun there. But you also had Elderson Echijile, the shape number 3, who would hardly go forward, make it a back 3, 4 plus Onazi, but at the same time, they were pressing a little bit high, and everyone was practically just center circle side of things, Dennis.
Yeah, I think in the first half, Zambia did very, very well. Looking at what Chisamba was doing, Chisamba is experienced, I think, more than most of the players that we had. What Chisamba was doing was to drop back to go and pick Onazi. If you watched closely that game, Onazi was going to destroy us. And I was happy as a Zambian that he got injured so early. Because if he had played more minutes, I'm telling you it was going to be a disaster. But he got injured. I was sad as a fan. As a fan, I was sad. But as a Zambian, I was happy because he was going to destroy us. And Chisamba did very well because he was dropping to come and pick him so that he doesn't create that overload in the attacking phase when John Obi Mikel goes to join Igalo. So it was so well coordinated, especially our midfield in the first half.
Okay, so awesome stuff. So we've talked about that 3v3 in the central areas. Of course, both teams playing an identical formation where the number 10 will need to drop and check the one actually sitting. In the Nigerian case, it was Onazi. From a Zambian perspective, it was Kondwani Mtonga. How do you think we did in terms of pacifying that Nigeria attack? And Lord and behold, they were targeting the position played by Faxon Kapumbu. They did the same in Dola, and they were doing the same in Uyo.
Yes, Zite, I think if you look at the way Nigerians played this game, you could see that they had all the time to sit down and look at our mistakes. I'm sure we've conceded so many goals in the left back for almost 3 games we played. Zite. If we have been scored for each game we've played, it's the left back, which looks to be, I don't know whether it's weak or it's the player who is I don't know whether it's his position or they are trying to maybe build him up to be a number 3, which me, I don't think he is. He's a number 3, because if you look at all the goals that we've been scored from the same position. And in Dola, we were scored almost in the same position by the same striker who scored in Nigeria. So they had all their time to study us, to see how Zambia is in defense, how are they defending, and how are they attacking. So if you could see our attack was not very much like the way they were doing it, the Nigerians, because we were like, if we go into attack from defense, the transition we talk about from the midfield and the defenders, it was like we were scared that if we go into attack, they will score us. Yes, of course, we tried to maintain it in the first half, which helped us not to allow the goal. But in the second half, yes, it came. We tried to change it. I don't know whether it is the system which changed, and we allowed the goal which they scored.
Okay, now I'm just thinking in Dola, perhaps it was different personnel for Nigeria as well. But here's the difference from that game in Dola is that you had Idea Brown leading the line, but making that similar run, okay, in Dola, running to the right-hand side, where he would actually pull Adrian Chama, the same way Zio Tembo was being put there, and hoping that Alex Iwobi would occupy that space. And you had Kilechi Inacho, who was also playing on that side of the pitch. And John Obi Mikel and Onazi were stringing the patches towards there. I'm just thinking, could Faxon Kapumbu be a victim of tactics? Like every opponent that Zambia faces wants to double team, triple team where he's operating from. Remember Adrian Chama played central defense in that game and he was subbed?
Yeah.
It was for the same problem, I think.
Yeah, same problem. I think every team, whichever team you are playing against, obviously you plan against their weaknesses and their strong points. So obviously Nigeria worked on our weaknesses. They also worked on our strong points. So as you are saying that we've been conceding almost the same goals from the left. Obviously the technical bench sat, and I was watching. I saw the Nigerian technical bench, very big. I don't know about the hours. I think I saw Coach Wada, Coach Beston, Coach David, Coach Steve, and the team manager. I think there were about 7. I don't know if we had any, maybe in the terraces or just in the background, or is it backroom staff, something like that. I don't know, but I saw Nigeria. They have a very big technical bench.
But I'm just thinking, 1 year on, the pattern of attack is the same.
Yes.
Because how they decided to attack in Uyo is how they came to attack in Ndola.
This is where I'm going now. They have a very big. So they used to watch Zesco. They were watching Zesco representing Zambia in the Confederation Cup. They watched Zambia. The way we played, I think Algeria also missed some chances. Because, when you win, you don't see the mistakes that you make. But when you lose, that's when you say, this is where we're going wrong. But even when you lose, you have to see, where are we going wrong? We should talk about these things. I think Nigeria was supposed to get a goal maybe in the first half. I think it was Igalo who missed a cross from
Simon Moses.
Simon Moses, yeah, just went past. Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking, 1 year on, same trend. Perhaps they stuck to their guns as to what they wanted to do, because Igalo's movement and Brownie Day's movement on Saturday and a year before, at almost the same time, was exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Last October and this October, same thing.
Yeah, Zite, it's the players. If you look at the way they were playing, their tactical discipline, and when your players are disciplined, even the system you are using, Zite, to say this system will use it until we qualify to the World Cup. If you see the way they are playing, Zite, it's very organized in defense, just from the goalkeeper, defense, and the midfield. The strikers themselves, you could see that these guys, they are aiming for something. They want to win something. Even where they are going, I think they are planning of maybe to come back with the World Cup back here in Africa. They've been there to the World Cup before, and they know what is there. We've never been there. Yes, we are trying to qualify, and we are fighting for qualification, so that one day we should be there and see what is happening in the World Cup. So you could see even their system, as they are playing it, each game they play, they try to improve in it, but it's the same system they play. That makes them even win the game.
Okay, so probably an interesting trend in terms of the way Nigeria were attacking. Let's have a look at how Zambia was attacking. Zambia's transition attack, because both teams were actually doing a medium press. But in terms of the transition attack, here's one salient point, is that number one, both teams were doing a medium press. So the battle was then transferred to midfield. About winning the midfield battle meant winning this game. But again, Nigeria, if you look at their marking, they were doing a man-marking medium press. So in their man-marking medium press, you'd have Onazi and Dindi who would alternate, especially Mwepu, I think, was earmarked that they should not allow Mwepu to get on the ball and actually play. So Onazi picks up Mwepu. you would have Ndindi or John Obi Mikel picking up Kondo and Mtonga. You'd have Chisambalungu being marked by the third player in midfield. That's Wilfred Ndindi. But right there, if you even see the way Nigeria is pressing right there, you have Odion Igalo who is pressing him not to give a square pass into Zio Tembo, Stopila Nsunza and trying to find space going forward. He's already showing Faxon Kapumbu pump the ball forward, try to get Fashion, try to get Alex and whatnot. But the brighter side to all this is that whilst that was happening, is that Nigeria were maintaining a high line, and there was one weapon that Zambia had in abundance, and it's the pace of Fashion Sakala, Augustine Mlenga, and the work rate of Alex Ngoka. And then you've got Chisambalungu almost skimming there. But again, they probably wanted us to play long, and we were playing long. And that saw us even score a goal that was disallowed because of Nigeria's organization. But again, in the second half, you could see that they had started defending a little bit deeper and reduced on the amount of space they were leaving behind the defense to make Bazo more effective in terms of running behind the defense there.
Yeah, I think the coach realized that the Zambians were more quicker than the Nigerians up front. Ngonga was quick, Augustine and Fashion. I think at one time Augustine even scored, and the goal was scored offside. In the second half, I think the coach saw, okay, these guys are much quicker. Let's not give them a high line press. They reduced on that, and they were not doing a high press. I think they dropped a bit. They were waiting to win that ball. But the most important thing that they did was not to give the midfielders. If you saw, they never gave Enoch Mwepu and Kondwan room to play. They were tightly marked. Whenever they went to receive the ball, always one was behind. That's why I was saying I was happy to see Onazi going off, because I think he really worked, especially on Mwepu. I think on one time Mwepu even made a mistake. He thought he was not coming. He made like a short pass. I think it was Zio or Stopila. Gave a pass to Mwepu. Mwepu tried to play back. He thought Onazi was far back, but he was close to him, almost getting a goal.
Okay, so interesting state of affairs. Now, when you look at one salient point about the marking positioning of Nigeria, which we must begin to look at right now, and just see the intricate variables of what was going on in midfield regards that one. Now, look at this one, same position. So they allow you to play the ball into the fullbacks, but once they do, they want you to pump the ball into Fashion Sakala, who's being man-marked by Shehu. And it's 2v1, Ngoka versus the two central defenders. And, of course, Augustine Mlenga, a little bit more disciplined in terms of him being in the right position at the right time, depending on the stage of the transition, whether it's attack or defense, finding himself there. So it's a heavily populated area. So for Zambia, it was next to impossible to play through the lines or through the midfield. We're being forced to play that long ball. Which brings me to my question, is that right there, when you look at the positioning of Fashion Sakala, would you have preferred, Vespa, that maybe he comes short, receives short, and maybe pull Shehu out of position and create another space in the wide areas that maybe Mwepu or Sambalungu can probably clutch on? Because you're talking about progressive long passes. Your striker will be lucky to see the ball and the man, but the defender is seeing both the trajectory of the pass and the opponent, as it were.
Yeah, Zite, you know, sometimes we will be complaining of why are we always being scored to the left back. We also look at what type of players are we putting in the same line with the left back and his line, his number 11. How is he dropping? Is he helping him? Or he was told not to be dropping, maybe he will be helped by the midfielders, which most of the times, if you saw, the person who was trying to help him was coming from the defense in the deep near the goalkeeper there, where there is the danger. So if he leaves that space trying to cover the left back, that's where we had a lot of problems, whereby if the ball comes on the middle, you find that there's only Sunzu there with maybe two strikers. You try, maybe by the time he tries to come and cover inside, they had already played. They want to try to penetrate Zite. So it works, yes, with a winger who is there not to be dropping every time, who can hold on to the ball for some time to allow maybe his colleagues also to join him in attack. But when we are defending, yes, we need the number 11 to come in and help also in defense, so that when we attack, we also attack as a team, like the Nigerians were doing. If you saw them in defense, they will all defend as a team. Midfielders will come back who come also in the midfield to get the ball. When they try to attack, the wingers will spread into the wing and move into attack.
Okay, let's just have a look at the consolidated match statistics, because this was a topsy-turvy game, nerve-wracking game. But there's something that I think we're even discussing last week, the issue of ball possession. In this game, Western Nyirenda actually took the game to Nigeria. We got the majority ball possession, something that we have not done. 51% compared to 49% for the Super Eagles. In terms of shots off target, Nigeria managed to rake in 7 compared to 11 for Zambia. Zambia only had 1 shot on target compared to 4 for Nigeria. Nigeria put in 14 crosses compared to 5 for Zambia. Then you had Ikechukwu Ezenwa making 1 save from Alex Ngoka shot compared to 3 for Kennedy Mwene. Of course, those were goal threats posed by Wilfred Ndindi. You also had Balogun, who had an attempt on target as well. In terms of corners, it was even Stevens there. 5 corners apiece for both countries, and both countries were cautioned twice. When you look at those statistics, it was a different game, and perhaps maybe that's why most Zambians were fairly satisfied with the return, is that we had better ball possession against a very good opponent. In other games, we have forgone ball possession, even in certain games that we have won.
Yeah, I think I was sitting and I was thinking, I won't be surprised if Nigeria is drawn in the same group as England. England will ask for a friendly game against Zambia, because the way that Nigeria is playing is almost the same as the way Zambia is playing. Very tactical. Everyone wants to keep the ball. That's why I'm not surprised to see that this time in Zambia it was Nigeria who dominated possession, but look at in Nigeria it was Zambia who dominated. I was also satisfied with the performance of the boys.
Okay, so let's have a look at Zambia's shot structure in this game. So we had a lot of attempts on goal. 12 shots went off target, but let's just look at this. All those spent efforts, but 1 shot on target, 1 save for Ikechukwu Ezenwa. It came from somebody who Zambians may not have too many kind words for, but yes, it's Alex Ngoka who only had the shot on target in this game. The one people are calling the villain. He's the only one who got a shot on target.
Yes, the only one and the only striker we depended on that he could win us the game. I think he had the chances of winning us that game. Sometimes you fail to understand what these strikers think when they are on the ball, because the job of a striker, I'm sure, is to check where is the goalkeeper and make sure you get the goal to win the team. But what happened to our boy on that day, we may say this and that. I know people cried for that, and they are still calling him names. It's football. You have chances, which is sometimes you score as a striker. Sometimes you miss. The coach, for him to put him in that lineup, I think he had all the confidence in him. I'm sure it's not only that game he played. He has used him in the other games which we have played.
But on humanitarian grounds, he could be thinking and say, okay, are people overly critical of me because of that opportunity I missed against Algeria? But he worked very hard. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah,
in terms of work rate, leading the line alone against opposition such as Nigeria, isn't it?
Yeah, he worked very, very hard. I think for me, I gave credit because he did what was expected of him, especially from the coach's perspective. The coach wanted him to make the two central defenders work, and he did just that. But maybe because he just missed that one chance. I think I remember, was it 1998? Roberto Baggio missed a penalty, but it was
94.
94, yeah, it was if not the player of the tournament or world football of the year that time. Played very well in the tournament, but missed that penalty which costed Italy.
It happens. Zambians are like that. Sometimes, if you remember, even Zedi Saileti, people they were annoyed with him the time he was called to the national team, the Africa Cup. I think it was in 90
something.
94.
Yes, something.
94 he was there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, he missed the chances which I'm sure people wanted him to score, but they were annoyed with him. As he goes on, you know, football, the way it is, he improved and he started scoring for the national team. People were happy. But even for the same boy, I don't think he's a finished player that we should say, no, can you drop him and maybe bring in other players. Yes, we have a lot of good players here in Zambia, but sometimes we give chance, like to the coach. He said he wanted to try him. I don't know whether we are trying to build the team, or this is the team which maybe want us to take us to the World Cup and the Africa Cup.
I think I just want to comment on the ZD thing.
As an example, but
as an example,
yes,
1994, Porterfield. A lot of people were criticizing Z. Porterfield just said, do you know why I put Z? Because he's able to keep the ball, he's harassing the defenders.
Yeah.
That's what I want him to do, and he was creating assists. Other players were scoring like Kenneth Malitori, Karuisha were scoring. Z was creating.
Doing the donkey way.
Not scoring, but he's the marksman. So maybe that's what Coach Wada was looking.
He should take heart.
Let's take heart as a country.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at Nigeria's short structure. The home side that probably wanted to win this game. Of course, there was big thundery talk about it. Let's just have a look at those statistics. So, Balogun on target. You had Ndindi on target. You had Simon Moses, the shirt number 15, on target. But it comes back to that there. If you look at the short structure, and as we will see very soon, Alex Iwobi's statistics in this game, is that right there, Nigeria were able to sip and get between the lines, get behind Kondwani Mtonga and Enoch Mwepu, and get in front of Stopila Nsunzo and Zio Tembo. Perhaps when we look at what we're doing in transition, we'll probably be pinching ourselves a little bit, especially when we started looking for that goal Vespa.
Yes, Zite. we really wanted to get a goal and win that game, Zite. No wonder you could see our players trying to exchange passes where we managed at least the ball possession. You could see that at least we get a higher number of ball possession than the Nigerians. The transition itself from the defense and the midfield, you could see that it was well organized. Unlike in the striking force, where we could see our number 9 was like tightly marked. Our wingers were also not like the way they are always, they always behave. It was a game which, sometimes I think of when we call for experienced players. We want them to help the players. There are some players who just in there they are scared because I watch him. He plays for Chelsea, and you could see even when he has been stepped on, he's the one who is even shaking, the one who has stepped on him. Instead of getting annoyed, because I remember we had players who sometimes even you are in the game. Eston, the late, he would even tell you, stop touching me. You can even smell the perfume I'm wearing and you are touching me. Please, maybe try to play with it. Ben Gentile that side. And Gentile would also hear to say, you are even sending him here. I'll step on you. Don't even try to come here. Even his brother, Debbie Makinka, used to do that. Those were smart guys. And in such games, you find that even some of our players, yes, they are too young, but there are things which happen in the pitch which some of the players can't even.
So, what was the problem, Dennis, in your opinion? We allowed them to get in between the lines, and that's where they tried to get most of their shots. Never mind the number of times they got into the 18 and failed to get a connection.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that helped them a lot, especially in the second half. They managed to play between the lines. Nigeria, they managed to play between Zambia's lines. I don't know that tactic. I think it worked very well. I don't know what they were doing. They were going like round. You will see Victor Moses is here. The next time is the other side. The next. I was also confused. I was thinking, what's happening?
Exchanging position.
Yeah. You look at Mwepu is gone. This one plays 1-2 behind the line, gets the ball, is facing the defense.
Yeah, it was difficult for a man mark because you can't say I'm marking Moses. I'm
exchanging positions
around the thing.
Yeah.
Because the way they are doing it, they are also trying to maintain their lines. If you saw he goes round, he will still come back on the same position.
The other one goes to take his position.
If it comes back to our players, you find that because they were told you have to be in the same line, they can't move. They are always in the same line. But for Nigerians, they were moving like in a circle. You go round, you lose the ball, you go round until you come back to your position, which I think is a very good system, Zite, for players at least. They are always running. Unlike you are just waiting for the ball, by the time they give you the ball, you make a mistake.
Okay. Now, one important player in Zambia's midfield was the player wearing shirt number 14, Enoch Mwepu. Of course, this is only but his third senior cap for the Chipolo Polo, and playing in central midfield, partnering Kondwani Mtonga. He was probably charged with the responsibility of being the link in attack between him and the line where Chisamba Fashion and Augustine Mlenga were operating, and probably take the team high up the pitch. But in defense mode, you also wanted Mwepu to actually provide that extra insurance and stand square with Kondwani Mtonga so that they are not able to run rings around Kondwani Mtonga, and Kondwani Mtonga has got support in the central areas. Let's have a look at his touch map. The Red Bull Salzburg midfielder, that's Enoch Mwepu. Let's have a look at that touch map, and it will show you something. Now, going up, look at that vital interception he made in the 18. But generally, he was working very hard in the central areas, touching the ball, trying to link up the play. But yes, when the opportunity presented himself, he would look for a forward pass. But again, when he won the ball in our own half, he was forced to play square. Tried to find Augustine Lenga, who was in acres of space because Anderson Echijile was actually not attacking that much, and Victor Moses was busy on attack duties then.
I think the boy is maturing very well. It's just that I think for me, he was playing an experienced side. They knew exactly where to take him. Each time he had the ball, they knew he never. I don't know. Maybe he did, but I can't remember him making a progressive pass, a forward pass. All the time he was making those wide passes.
But he actually got one. Correction, he got one that Fashion Sakala hit the side netting for. But that was the situation generally, is that was there a forward option when he wins the ball? Because again, he was operating rather too deep. He did a lot of work in our half as opposed to going forward in an offensive sense.
Yeah, that was the thing. When we lost the ball, he was coming deep to come and stand square with Kodwan. When we win the ball, he was the one we depended on to go and be the
move with the ball.
To move the ball, to go and supply. So you see the energy now for him to move up, down. Yes, he's young, he's got the energy, but you know, that game of that magnitude, it was a very huge game. We needed also someone to help, or maybe if he had played that role that Chisamba was playing, to be the link is closer to the marksman.
So would you have preferred Chisamba plays the role that Enoch Mwepu played, and Mwepu plays the second striker or the skimmer role?
For me, yes.
Vespa?
No, for me, I was comfortable with him on his role where he was. But if you look at the way the Nigerians were organized in the midfield, because you could see even when they lose the ball, you find that their number 7, 11, they will come in the midfield to close in. And I think they've watched that player. He's a very good player who can, if he gets the ball, he moves with the ball before he can pass to a striker. And I think they saw it, and they closed all his spaces which he normally uses to maybe penetrate and go maybe past the midfield, the defenders. And sometimes he scores. He's a player who can even score at any time. And if you saw the way he was closed, not given the chance of moving, I'm sure it was difficult for the young boy to do that.
Okay, so but anyway, distinguished performance, and for me, I think he worked very hard, because I think I've watched Enoch Mwepu for a couple of years from his days at under 17. He's pretty much a second striker, but for him to have the fortitude in a game of that magnitude to play in that manner tactically, hats off for getting that shift in for Enoch Mwepu. So with 25 minutes left on the clock, and it was even Stevens, 0-0, the clock read, the Nigerians rang a change. They brought in Arsenal striker Alex Iwobi. Now, let's just have a look at Alex Iwobi's statistics, because he is the man who eventually got the goal and broke Zambia's heart and made it 1-0 to Nigeria and confirmed their place. So he played 25 minutes, got 1 goal, put in 3 crosses, only 2 landed on their targets, and he was not booked. But there's one thing that the Iwobi factor definitely brought: pace in abundance. Just pace, raw pace. That's the speed. Just the speed, and the speed at which Nigeria could attack now was something phenomenal in the last 25 minutes of the game.
That was an injection. You see, if you've watched that movie, is it the Fast and the Furious? You see the driver doing like injecting something in the engine. It was like, phew. That's what Nigeria did when they brought in Iwobi. I said, wow, okay, if we survive, That boy brought in pace.
Lots of pace. Let's just have a look at his touch map, shall we? Alex Iwobi, the man that will go down in history as having broken Zambian hearts. Some would say it was the referee. But just look at it there. Look at how he works box to box, line to line. Just his touch map. And where the strike ball is where he gets the goal from. It's something that is, well, something that will go down in history and say, it says one thing: the Nigerians will get their wingers, invest them, put them in the central areas and play. And you see how much he would go inside into the central areas to support the attack for Nigeria Vespa.
Very intelligent player, Zite. If we can also have players like him, I think Zambia can move forward, Zite, in terms of having problems of qualifying. Because if you looked at the way he came in, and you look at his touches on the ball, and compared to some of our players who were substituted in our team, Zite, you can see that some of our players are there to maybe just to be seen that is also part of the national team. But if you look at Nigerian players, all the changes they made, you could see that they made an impact to their team. And like to our team, we made some changes which couldn't even change anything. Okay. So in future, we will need the players who at least behaving like the way he behaved. Maybe because he plays for Arsenal.
But some people were complaining that he hardly scores for Arsenal. He came to break for Hearts. So much for being an Arsenal supporter and being Zambian. So let's just have a look at how Nigeria managed to get their goal. Let's start off with the first slide about where the move basically started from. So let's look at the position there. That's John Obi Mikel on the ball there. Then, bottom of your screen, you've got Augustine Mlenga with Alex Iwobi. So let's see how the move progresses at the second stage of the goal that he scored. So right there, he's holding the ball a little bit in around the purple area. That's Augustine and Alex Iwobi. Then we got to the third stage of the attack for Nigeria. Now all of a sudden, Nigeria put the ball wide into Shehu, the shirt number 12. But look at where Iwobi is now. Right there around the second area. And Augustine is now tracking the fullback. And that's what he should be doing. He's the winger playing in that line. And then you've got Faxon Kapumbu there. Then you've got Kondwani Mtonga as well there. And John Obi Mikel lurking there. Then up top your screen, of course, you've got Odion Igalo inside the 18 and Victor Moses on the other side. Let's look at how the move progresses thereafter. After the move, Iwobi comes short, receives the pass there, and bounces it off John Obi Mikel. Now, don't forget, in the red circle there, that's Augustine and the fullback Shehu. But that is Iwobi now, and Victor Moses, the biggest spoiler, is not yet in the picture. And this was a breaker attack for Nigeria. Let's go to the next stage and just have a look at how all of a sudden Victor Moses pops up and plays that ball into the wide area. And where is Iwobi right now? Just on the edge of the D around the second area. And just look at the eyes of all the Zambian players looking at where the ball is and where the ball is coming from. And then the final slide, which will actually show us them putting the ball into that space. And of course, he's free in that second area. That's Alex Iwobi there. Let's just look at how he finally gets in. Now, does a cutback, and look at how much space he has to actually stop, say a little prayer, choose a spot, wash his hands, strike it past Mwene. And you give a player of such quality, such space, you are done.
Yeah, I think you give such quality, that space, you are dead and buried. I was watching and I was saying, going. I thought the guys were hearing me. No one went towards the ball to go and close. He was just coming slowly and very much alone.
But that's the point you actually raised. The Nigerians changing positions is that in one breath, talking about the double teaming tactic, you had a situation where Victor Moses found himself on the right hand side of the attack. Shehu was on the right side of attack. John Obi Mikel was on the right hand side of the attack. And all of a sudden there was no concentration on the man that actually scored, Alex Iwobi.
Yes, Zite, it's the same thing we talk about, the communication, especially with the players when they are on the pitch. Because you could see the way they were trying to interchange positions and the interchanging of the passes and the way they were coming, Zite. Our players were watching, and if you saw the way they left him, knowing he's a goal poacher, that guy even at Arsenal, the way they use him, sometimes he can come off the bench, he will even get a goal. Sometimes you start the game, he will get a goal. So it means the coach himself, there's a lot of confidence in him that that boy is a goal poacher. Sometimes you could see the way he comes in, and the scoring itself, you can see that there was some loose marking in our defense, and even the way they were coming from the midfield itself.
All right.